Just a couple things program-wise. Season ticket sales are going really well. I was told this morning, as a matter of fact, that lower bowls almost sold out. So there are tickets available, but they're going fast. And so anybody that's considering, being a season ticket holder this year, I would act sooner than later. So that's a big positive. Secondly, the exhibition game with Illinois is going to be a great opportunity for our team, as Malik and Sean just described. I think also a great opportunity for our fan base, starting with our students, our season ticket holders. So pretty cool day. Big football game on Saturday, obviously. And then we'll play the very next day, Sunday at an 11 o'clock tip. So just trying to get the word out. I think Ole Miss is advertising it, but we sure could use y'all's help in your different avenues and venues and all just to get the word out. Tickets are available. They're for sale right now. Different kinds of options on that game. But so Illinois, 11 a.m. on Sunday, October 27th. Is that right, Sports? I believe so. Really appreciate y'all, as always, getting the news out of what's going on in the program.
I guess on that, how did that come to be? And then I guess to make it that kind of a fundraising charity game at the same time, what all went into that?
Yeah, you guys know the history. Used to, we could only play non-ones, so it was the traveling kind of pro teams, the international teams, or an NCAA Division II school or an NAIA school. Then they tweaked the rule a little bit where we could have the closed-door scrimmage, so we get 2 opportunities. We're going to do 1 closed-door scrimmage about a week before the Illinois game. Then there was some talk this offseason that they were going to allow Division I games. And we were in talks with people to do that. We were prepared. And kind of in a last-minute surprise in my mind, they didn't allow that, but they're still allowing the charity exhibition game. So we're proud to have a quality opponent like Illinois. I really appreciate Brad doing it. I think it's going to be good for both teams. And then we support a great cause. The CASA organization is a great cause. Helps people in need, helps kids. And so just going to be a win-win. Our basketball team will get better through great competition. Hopefully our fans will get them excited about the start of college basketball. And then we're going to raise some real money for a worthy cause.
Just with official practice underway, just over the next month, what are you looking to learn the most about your new guys?
A lot. I think one thing with our team is just trying to get these guys to understand the idea of daily improvement. Can't speak for other sports, never participated in them, but in college basketball, you basically get 30 practices in 42 days. And one of those practices will be the closed door. Another one of those 30 practices will be the exhibition game against Illinois. Got some inter-squad scrimmages along the way, but we basically have a 6-week journey here. We laid the foundation in a lot of ways this summer in this preseason. Now you're in official practice. And I think, from a player standpoint, you can imagine when you're looking forward to those games, you hit that point where you're kind of tired of playing against each other. And so this is a real grind. And experienced teams they can find that sweet spot of just trying to find daily improvement, whether it's in the weight room or individual, film room, certainly team practice, whether it be in drill work in practice or live play. It's just really trying to improve. That's the bottom line. Like if I had to describe, why do you practice in one sentence, is to try to get your team ready to play. It's try to improve. And so one thing that we're looking for with these guys, in our second practice today is just the idea of trying to improve, each day. It sounds kind of easy to talk about it, but really that's where the beauty is. And if you can do that, no matter what rate you're improving, if you can just improve, not stay the same and certainly not get the other direction, then your team can get better. So a challenge for our guys has been just what I described to you guys. Can we get better each day? If every individual player approaches that, then obviously our team gets better.
Was there one or two specific things you tried to address when you're thinking about bringing guys in from the transfer portal? Or just, I guess, what are you hoping to see from that transfer portal group as a whole?
Yeah, many more things than one or two things. It certainly starts with some real objectives. First thing, it's a talent-based game. You got to have players who can compete and be successful in the SEC. So again, there's a lot of really good basketball players out there, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a contributor in the SEC. So I call that talent. Starts with physical talent, then the mental make of an SEC player is a little bit different than some other levels too. So it starts with that, who can be successful in the SEC. Specific needs, absolutely. Whether it be trying to address some rebounding issues from last year, those things were talked about with every player we recruited, not just what we all think of as bigs, but also, guards have to be good rebounders in this league. So offensively, whether it be shooting percentages or assist to turnover, the ability to get to the free throw line. So a lot of things go into that. Starts in recruiting, trying to find players that we believe can be successful and that we can help be successful. And then that's what the day-to-day coaching is here. Just talking to these guys every day in both a team setting and individual setting about the objectives. It's a good question.
With the way your schedule starts with Illinois and then ends in November with the tournament and in Louisville early December, how big is it for you to have that kind of sample size against those teams with still a month of non-conference to kind of work on what you may see?
Yeah, definitely an objective. And your schedule is to prepare for the SEC, to prepare for the postseason. So I feel really good about this year's schedule. Starts with our closed-door scrimmage and then the exhibition. And then we have some real opportunities on our schedule early, including opening night. A veteran team that really benefited from the portal. It's got a really good coach. You're looking ahead, a chance to play in San Diego in the field of a BYU, Purdue, NC State. These are 3 NCAA tournament teams, period. I'll say this, Colorado State playing in South Haven. It's been to 2 straight NCAA tournaments. Have at least 1 NBA draft pick on their team, really good coach. And so I could go game by game of all the opportunities we have. I talked a little bit to the players about that the other day. I just think we have opportunities. And as a player and as a coach, that's all you can ask for. Do you have a schedule that'll give you some opportunities to open some doors that need to be open? So I think our schedule is going to be competitive. We're going to play against different styles of play from different conferences, different environments, home, road, and neutral, different game times, different periods of preparation. We have some games around here where we'll have 4 days to prepare. That's a luxury. We'll have some games where we'll have 1 day to prepare. And so I think our schedule, I'm looking forward to it.
This might be a really stupid question, but with Lane and the success they're having in football, like right down the road, is that something that you can even use in any small way as something to feed off of to motivate your guys to just inspire?
Yeah, absolutely. And not in a small way, in a big way. I think this is a really cool time to be on this campus right now. And, football, we all benefit from that. I've thanked Lane before. I've thanked the coaches, thanked the players when I see them. Like, we're all benefiting from what they're building and what they're executing currently. And so whether it be the excitement in our fan base or certainly the momentum in the Grove Collective with Walker and his staff, we benefit. And what we would like to do is to do our part. We'd like to return the favor. And we've been blessed to be along the way in our coaching journeys. I think it's safe to say that we've helped some people along the way too. Some of our teams, how competitive, how good the attendance was, and simply stated, turning basketball into a revenue-generating sport. So, yeah, we benefit for sure, not only what football is doing, but there's a lot of other successful teams on this campus as well.
Specifically, when you're going through the process with those 2 guys, with Malik and Sean, and trying to address those needs, when evaluating both of them or kind of getting the ball rolling with them, what was the first thing, aside from obviously talking about talent-based business, that just popped off immediately when the ball got rolling with those guys?
Yeah, I think to me in recruiting, portal's no different than high school, but I like to be educated before I enter the world of talking to them or texting them. We do a lot of work beforehand, so it's not like we just, we see Sean Padula and give him a call. Now, sometimes the work is done in a 45-minute segment. Sometimes it's done in 2 or 3 days, but we like to be educated. So I think with both of those guys, first we saw SEC talent. Obviously, Sean, it's easy to see it, being an all-ACC player. And then with Dia playing at the mid-major level, we saw things that we believe will, translate to the SEC. So it starts with talent. Then with each of those guys individually, not to talk too long, but I was just really attracted to Padula's competitiveness. We say never lose your chip. We talk about street dogs around here and our mentality, and that's Padula. I came across the very first phone call, came across the very first text, and when I had a chance to visit with him a couple times face-to-face in Virginia, and then certainly on his visit here and on some Zooms and things like that, he's a competitive guy. He's a guy that, You know, I believe he's a 5-star talent in college basketball, but it's like he's got like a 0-star work ethic. He's looking around trying to prove the next day he belongs. So I liked his competitiveness. Also liked his loyalty in terms of like being a family guy. If you know anything about Padula, he's got a lot of brothers and sisters. I don't want to get the number wrong, but I think it's like 8 or 9. A lot of brothers, eight brothers and sisters combined. Mom and dad, successful people. It's a sport family. You know, I like that because usually most guys that understand how to be a part of a family understand how to be a part of a team. So there's a couple things with Padula: competitiveness, and had a lot of respect for his family setup. With Dia, I was just really intrigued with his kind of intelligence. This is a guy that walks into a room and has his own opinion, thinks things through. I really enjoyed recruiting him. I enjoyed the conversations. Sometimes in recruiting, and I'm sure players can say the same thing about some coaches, but, you know, you're just trying to get on and get off. You know, with Dia, I would look up and spend 30, 45 minutes talking to him on the phone, and I've enjoyed the conversation. We talked about things other than basketball, too. So how that relates to basketball, I think it relates in a big way. Because when you have a personality and you have some intelligence and you got some things going on in your mind other than just basketball, I think it bleeds to you having a chance to be a pro one day, balanced. Then with D, I think he's got a real work ethic. And we heard these things, and he told us himself, you know, that he was willing to do things that most people aren't willing to do. I don't want to speak for Dia, but I think one of the reasons he chose Ole Miss is he saw how hard we work. And not that everybody doesn't work hard, but we try to work hard consistently. We have a plan for each day. And now having a chance to coach Dia in the summer and the fall and a couple practices in, he's as good as advertised in that way. I mean, he really does put in the work. He comes in the film room every day. He grinds it out. So it's a couple things with both those guys that I really enjoyed.
Two guys that have been here a while. What do you hope to see out of TJ and Robert, not this month, but just through non-conference as you're learning roles for everybody?
Yeah, big parts of our team, period. And obviously the fans, the media, you guys, you know, it's you know, you got a question about Matt Morrell and you got a question about Brake, but Rob and TJ are big parts. You know, these are two guys coming back. This is their 3rd year of college basketball. Rob's had some adversity in terms of injuries and stuff, which I think that adversity could turn into a blessing one day because you think about him, he has several years of eligibility left. TJ, it's all about consistency. I've said it before and probably say it again. This is a talented player. I think he was our leading scorer on opening night last year. There's every day in practice, there's possessions where he looks like an all-SEC defensive type player with his athleticism. And then offensively, he's got some game. We need those two guys to contribute. We need those two guys to find consistency. We need those two guys to have the best year they've ever had playing team basketball. And I'm optimistic. Both guys, I mean, we're sitting here, it's still kind of kumbaya time zone. You know, there hadn't been a lot of adversity around here yet, but those guys have put in the work. I've seen real growth in TJ and real growth in Rob since this summer. So we're optimistic. Ultimately, it'll be up to those guys to take advantage of any opportunity they get. But I'm optimistic about those two guys.
You have to create adversity in the preseason, or does it just come naturally?
Both. I think, good question. A couple good questions today. Why don't we do this more? Yeah, so I think every day is going to bring you adversity as a human being, as an SEC basketball player. It's just a matter of seeing that. You know, Coach Knight would always say, you know, you look at it, but you don't really see it, or you're listening for it, but you really don't hear it. It's there. And so this can be as you know, this can be as simple as we've had a really good practice. Things are going well, but there's 2 possessions in this practice where we missed a block out. And I think it's up to not only the coaches but the players to embrace that and turn that into a little adversity. So I think a lot of it happens naturally. But then I think from a coaching standpoint, absolutely. I mean, it's the whole thing. You ask every player. It's a question. You know, hey guys, do you want practice to be easier than the game, same as the game, or do you see the value in practice in being very, very hard? You know, and I think most veteran players finally grasp that at some point. Like, yeah, we get it. We understand why this needs to be really difficult and urgent and intense today, because certainly we know what's coming when we got to play in an SEC game here in a few months. So from a coaching standpoint, absolutely we do that, whether it be, we have a drill we do almost every day, 4 guard and 5. It's really difficult for 4 players to guard 5. That's really difficult. So to me, that's kind of self-made adversity before we ever start. But if you think about it, in basketball, there are all sorts of possessions where 4 have to guard 5. Ball screen, 2 guys are on, ball gets swung. Transition, guys late getting back. Adversity, guy falls on the floor. So this happens all the time. We're 4 guard and 5. And so, yeah, we try to create that all the way down to, I try to coach our best players the hardest. It's what the best players want. I think you have to be able to coach your best player hardest to be in championship contention. And so that would be adversity to somebody like Matt or Padula or Juju that comes out here every day, and it doesn't matter if they're having their best day or their worst day. They know they're about to hear it from me. And so, yeah, things like that. We're always trying to keep our guys uncomfortable. Growth happens when you're uncomfortable. You take 3 math quizzes and you make 100 on every one. You're probably walking into that test thinking this is going to be okay. If you struggle on some of those quizzes, then you're probably urgent, you're ready, you're prepared, you're aware. And so certainly from a coaching standpoint, we absolutely try to make things difficult, challenging, uncomfortable for our players every day.
I remember sitting here asking Matt before senior day last year, is this your last game? He said yes, emphatically. Obviously plans change all the time. Where do you sense kind of his mental state is maybe being here in late September of 2024 when back in March he thought he was going to be in a different place?
Yeah, I liked Matt's answer last year. That's where he was mentally.
Yeah.
That's what I thought too. I thought we could win the SEC tournament, even though it was not probable, but it was possible. And then we get to the NCAA tournament. In my opinion, if Ole Miss would have played in the Sweet 16 last year, Matt wouldn't have been here. Right now, there's a relationship between winning and success, including draft picks and stuff. So, yeah, on that deal with Matt, I've been asked that question before. I know no other way for Matt to have answered that question that day, as a competitor. And again, Matt did really well in the draft process. He had a real decision to make. He didn't come back to college because he had to. He came back to college because him and his family and his agent sat down. They looked at real info. We contributed to that data. So, yeah, what was the second part?
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I
I had no problem with that answer last year.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah.
you know,
Well, I guess I was asking more about just kind of how do you sense that he's sort of embraced being back for
Yeah.
another year when maybe that wasn't the plan a few months ago?
Yeah, good question. Done really well. And we've been in this situation before with players. And what I would tell you is, totally impressed. It was actually really cool to kind of watch and see and analyze. And so, basically, Matt, you understand he played in the SEC all those minutes, and then that pro process starts. Man, it starts 2 days later. I think he was in Miami doing his pre-draft, and that goes for like another 6 weeks. So I'm talking about workouts, travel, interviews. And so when we made the decision, or he made the decision to come back, it was kind of a 99th hour deal because Matt was still gathering information. And I remember specifically telling Matt, hey, take a couple days before you get back, more mentally more than anything. And he's like, no, Coach, I'm gonna be there. I'll be there pretty quick. I can go see Mom and Dad in Memphis, on the first off day. So that was really impressive, like just how quick he got back. And then, we had week 0 around here before we started, and week 0 is basically guys can get in the gym, but we can't do any team practice, and we're really getting set academically. And I personally asked Matt to take a couple of days off physically, and he just didn't do it. He rested the body, but he was really in tune. And I vividly remember like a couple of days, guys are just playing pickup, and Matt's not playing those days based on me telling him rest, but he's engaged. He's talking to his teammates. He's coming to everything. He's in the training room and weight room. So I just think his ability to flip that quickly, I'll never forget. And I was so impressed. I know, like, when our season ends, I'm not ready the next day to go back out and start practicing next year's team. So just as a human being, I thought the way he flipped it basically showed me where his heart was. Matt came back for one reason, and that's to win. That's to get Ole Miss into March Madness. And he said it, and now his actions are showing nothing but exactly what he said he would do. So super appreciative of Matt's just mindset.
Going back to the scrimmage real quick, how differently do you treat an exhibition versus Illinois versus the closed door scrimmage in terms of, rotation and all that?
Yeah, closed door scrimmages, different coaches do different ways. You might play 3 periods, you might do some special situations, you might do some zone. There's even been teams that do two-a-days, scrimmage for an hour, both teams break, rest, eat, come back. And so scrimmage is literally, it's closed door scrimmage. No one's in there but the 2 teams. There's a pretty firm NCAA rule about that because we've had some friends kind of want to stick their head in the door over the years, and we can't do it. So the closed door scrimmage, it just kind of depends on what those 2 coaches agree to. The exhibition game, we'll treat that more like a game. It's obviously going to be SEC, Big Ten officials. Chance that game will be picked up on television. That'll be a 40-minute game with Division I rules. In terms of adjustments, maybe a little bit. We try to play as many guys as we can in that game within reason. We might do some rotational things. Those are the things we're trying to get done. I can't speak for Brad. Like, if there's a scoreboard up there, both teams are going to be trying to win the game, obviously. But there'll be some things going on probably more important than what that scoreboard says in that 40-minute game as well.
I don't know if I heard that last part correctly. When it comes to that situation, as far as the rotations and whatnot, is that usually shared with the opposing coach as far as the way they handle things in game, or is that just based on your individual team and what you're trying to accomplish?
In a closed-door scrimmage or an exhibition?
In the exhibition, sorry.
I don't know. We've played some exhibitions before where might be a little bit on the same page with the other coach. It might be as simple as, hey, are you going to press tonight or not? So, because we've only practiced 13 days, we're not quite ready for that. Or should we expect some zone? Other times it's just pure competition. I haven't talked to Brad at Illinois about that specifically, but I know this. We both want this to be a successful day for both teams. And so I'm sure there'll be some type of communication beforehand just to make sure it's the game that we both need, to get our teams better.
Any questions for Coach?
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.